What's up everyone? B the Installer here with the Samsung QN900B 8K model. And I've had the 65-inch in the house, but I was definitely interested in getting the 85-inch version so we could show you it at its best with the most dimming zones, largest size, brightest screen, and all that. And obviously you can see I'm not at home. We're at the Value Electronics TV shootout in New York City, and we dropped in a day early to help them do all the setup. And because we did, we had access to this 8K TV, and I'm really thankful to Robert Zone at Value Electronics. And if you want to get one of these awesome TVs, make sure you check out the links in the description for their email and for their website and all that. I'm going to unbox this TV and then set it up on a cart so we can compare it versus the other 8K models, which are the LG Z2 and the Sony Z9K. So it's going to be quite the battle. So we'll do all that before we show you some content and some tests and wrap up if getting one of these 8K TVs for you. So make sure to smash the like button and subscribe to the channel, and make sure to hit the notification bell so you're notified when I upload a new video. And let me know, is a Samsung 8K for you, or are you sticking with 4K? Let me know in the comments. All right, there we go. Easy peasy. So there's clips on the sides so you can just open the box and take it apart. So that's what I'm gonna do to make it easy because we don't have a lot of vertical clearance in here. There we go. You can pop these suckers right off. Not super sturdy, we're gonna have to keep an eye on this. But on top here, we wanted to show you some of the things that you get with this TV. One of the biggest differences between this TV and most of the 4K is that you get this One Connect box that has all the HDMIs separate from the TV. And now you get this with the Samsung frame, and they are gonna have the S95B 4K version of this, but for the most part, it's one of the perks you get with an 8K TV. So you can mount this on the back of the TV, or you can just put it in a cabinet below the TV. So that's pretty unique. And then you get an actual 3-part stand. They have a piece that goes on the back of the TV and 2 pieces that make the stand up and then suck them all together. I'm gonna set this aside because we are just gonna be putting it on a cart instead of on the stand. And if you wanna see that stand, go ahead and check out my other video where I did the 65-inch version of this QN900B. Check that one out. Jen's in that as well. Obviously, she's not here in New York, but Eric's helping me out and we're gonna get this thing done. A little cover for the One Connect box, some big spacers for the One Connect box to go behind the TV, and then we have, the goodie bag, which has the one wire in both a short and a long version. We have an awesome remote, of course, and then some screws and all that. So we'll set this aside. We're gonna get this all connected up once we have it on the cart. You wanna just help me lift this off? I'll take these pieces if you wanna hold that, or do you wanna? Cool. So we're gonna have to lay the TV down to get the VESA pattern on the back. So we're gonna slide this out, lay it down so it's nice and safe. All right, we got 2 more pieces of the stand to take out that we're not gonna use, but it's gonna make this even less stable than it was before. So it's good that we're gonna lay it down and make it nice and safe. You ready to pick it up? Let's pick it up straight up again and set it over there. All right, lay it down nice and softly. So this has an actual 600 by 400 millimeter VESA pattern on the back. It also has some other spots where you can put the One Connect box on, and there's a no gap wall mount area too. And then it has some really cool speakers on the back. And this is a really cool design for a TV, very flat. And of course, then it just all goes to the One Connect box, which makes it easier with the HDMIs and all that. So we have to put these brackets on here, and we actually need these to go about as low as they can go because the other TVs were at the bottom and they were raised up as much, so we have to match all the heights of these TVs. So we're gonna connect it right here, get that all set up, and then throw it up on the cart. All right. Slide this cart in here. Get that set. Safety first, then teamwork. There we go. Now we can put this guy up here, see how it's looking. 1, 2, 3. Oh, it does have the screen on it. You good?
Yes.
All right, perfect. Good deal. All right, got that all done. Wow. big 8K TV, so thin and so big, it's almost awkward to lift. But we're gonna get all this stuff out of the way and get this moving. So now we're gonna turn the TV and get the camera all set up because there's a lot of lighting issues in here. And we wanna show you this TV with the least amount of variables. So give us a second to set this thing up and we'll be right back. And here's the One Connect box. Again, all the HDMI's there. You got 4 gaming ports, 4K at 120, both can do 8K as well. USB ports, the ATSC 3.0 next gen tuner, landline, optical, and where you connect the one wire. And it has some plastic on it we can take off. And there's also some plastic on the big screen. Let's get that off too. Obviously this is the most fun part, and I wish Jen was here to help, but you know, she couldn't make it, so let's just get it off. Very satisfying. So back here, we're not going to be able to use the really small cord because we can't mount it right there, but we're going to use the longer one. It'll still be pretty close. Connect it to the One Connect box first, and then you can connect it to the TV. It's pretty straightforward. It says TV button faces out. Snap it in. There's a screw you can put in there if you want to permanently connect it so it doesn't have any issues. And then really all we have to do is just connect the power cord right here and light it up. So let's do it. There you go. There we go. All right. And then finally we have this awesome Samsung solar cell remote. Pretty straightforward with the buttons that it has, you know, left, right, up, down. You got the power button, home button, back button, all this. It has anything that you need and it doesn't have anything you don't need. And of course it can be lit up by just placing it in some direct light or connecting it with the USB-C on the bottom to charge it. So we'll pull the plug here and then we're gonna light this thing up. Okay, so we're on the home screen for the Samsung 8K, and it's got the Tizen OS 22, which is pretty decent overall with regards to how well it handles apps and everything. It's not the fastest OS in the world, so it takes a little time to maneuver around from app to app, but it does show you what was on recently and what's on now. It has a lot of Samsung TV Plus channels that are pretty decent, and then you have all your apps and things that you go down the list before it recommends different movies and searches that you might want to do. So pretty straightforward. It does have this cool gaming mode. We're not going to get to show you gaming because we're at this TV shootout, so I might as well show you this, but it has great connectivity with your Xbox Series S or PS5 or gaming PC or whatever you might be using to game. Great features, 4K at 120, has VRR and G-Sync and all that. So great TV for gaming. And then also you have this ambient mode, which is really nice on Samsung now. Originally the Samsung frame came out with specific art mode, but this ambient mode is pretty cool as well and has a lot of different backgrounds you can set and show when you're not watching TV. And then another cool feature is the ability to show multiple screens at once. So you can have channels on one side and YouTube on the other, or you can connect your phone. Pretty cool to have the picture-in-picture, as it was called back in the day, back in action. But let's get into some of the standard content like sports, movies, and then show you some HDR footage before we test the TV and wrap up. Okay, so we're watching basketball on YouTube TV, ESPN, upscaling this from 1080 all the way up to 8K. And I have to say it's a pretty balanced look. It looks like it could be an OLED or a QLED, which is pretty good for this 8K because it has a pretty good control of the light, but it's also fairly bright and it has good upscaling. This doesn't have as much pixelization as the Sony Z9K had when watching similar content. It's also not quite as bright, but it still looks quite good. And when the players are moving around really fast on the screen, especially when they're small, the motion looks great. There's no issues with regards to upscaling this content at all. And when I throw on a movie on YouTube TV here, full screen, things look just fine as well. Very even picture, bright where it needs to be, dark where it needs to be, no major glaring issues. But let's move into some HDR movies that might be a little bit more stunning. So now we're watching Encanto, which is a movie we've used many times to kind of see what looks great or doesn't look great on certain TVs and HDR with this animated picture. And this TV is one of the brightest you're gonna find. It's extremely vibrant, color looks amazing, and we've even checked it out in some of the darker scenes to see that there's great shadow detail, which is typical of a great QLED TV. So this is hitting all the marks with regards to bright and vibrant HDR picture quality. Some of the motion settings and other settings are set specifically specifically for the competition here, so we can't really mess with that. But it looks a little bit choppy for my liking, and I probably increased the de-judder a bit in order to get a more smooth picture. It's all good and well when you're watching on full screen, but let's see how it looks when you're watching it on widescreen, see if any of that light bleeding shows up on this 8K QLED. When I turned it to Doctor Strange 2, I didn't notice any blooming in the widescreen bars until the closed captioning came on. But now that it's on, I'd see it here and there, and occasionally when there's a really bright area around a darker area, you see it a bit. But overall, it doesn't look too bad. But to really dive in and see how well this controls the light, we should turn on one of the blooming tests. So let's get into a couple different tests before we wrap up. What I'm seeing when we're looking at this test is that it does have a slight bit of blooming, but it's pretty good compared to a lot of the other TVs that we check out. And it is better that it's an 8K because it has more dimming zones than the 4K version does. So overall, it's one of the best TVs with regards to controlling the light. This is the second generation of this version of the 8K TV, so it's getting better and better, but you still have some light bleeding when it's not an OLED kind of TV that has pixel level control. So you can get that brightness with mini LED, but you have a little bit of that side effect. And another side effect that we try to check out with regards to the quality control of these panels is the dirty screen effect. So let's get that test going. Okay, and checking out this dirty screen effect test where you watch the hockey player move around the screen and then look behind it to see if you see that dirt. You can see that this TV definitely has a bit of dirty screen effect. And don't worry about the line that's moving down the screen. That is the refresh rate of the TV. But if you watch it carefully, I think it's evident that there is some dirty screen effect with this Samsung 8K. So it's difficult to know if you buy an expensive Samsung 8K QLED, would it be acceptable to see that distraction in the background of a panning screen that moves left or right, or a game you're playing where you're moving left or right off center? Let me know in the comments. But let's check out some 8K footage before we wrap it up. Okay, so now we're on to the 8K footage, and it looks quite remarkable. Super detailed, super bright and vibrant picture. But is that enough for you? I mean, can't you get that with 4K content as well? Or a great QLED TV in Samsung in the 4K range? But what do you guys think? Do you think you definitely need to get an 8K TV because of all the bells and whistles it comes with? The flattest TV, the most power, the most dimming zones and all that? Or are you satisfied with a 4K for a fraction of the price? Let me know that in the comments. Definitely smash the like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel, set the notification bell to all so you're notified when we upload a new video, and just like that, you can be the installer.